This is Starcast, the official podcast of your Billingham Stars. Watch and listen for the very latest news and interviews from within the Big Red Machine.
Hello and welcome to the latest edition of Starcast, your official podcast for the Billingham Town Council Billingham Stars. Playoff season is in full swing. It's British summertime. The clocks have gone forward. Everything is happening this weekend, and we have plenty to talk about with Carol, pointing the right way.
You are.
And Jono, who's down there. No guest this week, just the three of us talking nonsense and hockey stuff for the next wee while. Obviously,
just before you say nonsense, me and Carol don't speak nonsense. We were bang on last week.
We were.
No nonsense spoken here, by the way.
Yeah. We analysed our discussion that we had in the podcast last week, and we were absolutely spot on.
Including a certain game going to overtime.
Yeah, even down to saying that Hull D-side would go to overtime.
Yeah.
We know what we're talking about.
Okay, so I'm talking nonsense, and I just refuse to talk sense. That's fine. I can live with that. But we're here to talk about a playoff quarter-final for the Billingham Stars. We'll have a look at the other playoff series in the north and around the south as well. There's 4 divisional series going on. We'll look ahead to a playoff semi-final series with the D-side Dragons. That's to come later. And any other business as well. Plenty of other stuff going on as the season winds towards its inevitable conclusion. So I've done it again and gone through the there. That's what I'm talking about. One of these days, I'll get the hang of this, right? So a shorter looking agenda, but still plenty to talk about over the next wee while here with Starcast. We'll start with the weekend just gone. The playoff quarterfinals, obviously the first weekend after the end of the regular season. 8 teams in each division going at it, and for your Billingham Stars, it was the 8th seeded Leeds Knights, away on Saturday at Elland Road and at home on Sunday. So we'll give you some quick stats, and then we'll talk about the games as a block rather than individually. On Saturday night at Elland Road, it was a 10-1 win for your Billingham Stars. Goals for the Leeds Knights from Harrison, and for your Billingham Stars, Ian Brown with 2, Michael Elder, Callum Wilkinson, Conor McNulty, Roland Grittans with 2, James Moss, Joe Walls, and Lucas Dowdle. And then on the Sunday, just because 10 wasn't enough on Saturday, it was 12-4 on Sunday at the Forum. Although Leeds were up on the end of the first, but we'll talk about that. Leeds goals from Owen Dell with a hat-trick and from Jordan. And for your Billingham Stars, just the 6 from Ian Brown. Sean Galloway, Callum Wilkinson, Lucas Dowdle, Chris Sykes, Conor McNulty, and James between the legs Moss. That's to talk about as well. Plenty of goals, plenty of shots, plenty to talk about. Carol, you can start us off on Saturday. Another good travelling crowd down to Elland Road. Again, it's been a bit of a theme down there. The slow start. Dominating the chances, but only just the 1 goal early doors.
Yeah, we should mention the game got off to an actual flying start for some of the crowd, because we got the best service in the cafe ever. Jono will back me up on this. Special shout out to the girl behind the bar in Leeds. She knows what we're talking about. Thank you very much. Pedestrian start, it looks like on paper, but actually, no. We just made the mistake that we have done a few times this season of shooting at the keeper and making him look good. First period was all one-way traffic. It was just, poor Leeds didn't look like they got out of their own zone too much. And it was surprising that we only went in 1 ahead. I think the shots on goal for that were ridiculously one-sided and probably tell their own story as well. But Luca Tisadri in the Knights goal really didn't have too much to save with any difficulty attached to them. It was all a bit in the chest, to his pads, the type of shots that you put on your keeper in warm up, if you like. So yeah, it was kind of a disappointing start from that point of view, but we made up for it, didn't we?
We certainly did. Let's say the stats you talked about. Then first period, shots on goal 23-4.
Yeah.
We were 23 odd. Middle period, we had 26 shots, and then the goals started to come quite early on from NIHL, then Ian Brown, then Callum, then Connor, and we kind of started rolling from there. So, John, what do you think was the difference between the first and the second? Is it as Fozzie said in his post-game interviews this weekend, they just kind of tweak their shooting sticks and started going for the corners rather than shooting the goalie?
Yeah. As Carl said there, we absolutely dominated that first period. And granted, we didn't make Luca work nowhere near as hard as we should have. I think he'd have been seeing stars quite literally when he went back into the room, because it was literally wave after wave after wave of attack. And then the second period, wherever it was, I think those sticks got finely tuned in that absolute shooting gallery of the first period, and things just started clicking, and away we went. I don't know what, I don't want to be too harsh on Leeds, but they came out with a little bit of, we might be in this, and then you just saw any sort of hope leave their eyes. You could see it in their play and the way they were playing. Like even the young players who are really, really talented, and we'll mention a couple of them later on from the Sunday game. They just looked lost. They didn't know where they wanted to be. They started holding onto the puck too much, trying to do too much, trying to be a one-man kind of team. And the Stars just went into like game mode and doing what they normally do, and just running through the drills and very methodical, setting up the players, moving the puck. The interchanging between them all was just fantastic to watch, and some real pretty stuff. And I mean, to be fair, I think if we scored every chance we took, I mean, we would have had some absolutely sensational and pretty goals. And I think there was one where we made 3 passes from our own goal line, and it was in the back of their net, and that was just 3 passes. But it wasn't just like Sam Allardyce Route 1 stuff. They were ping perfect passes from goal line to red line to blue line into back of the net, and it was just fantastic to watch. And I think I saw a couple of the Leeds on their own bench nodding their gun. Yeah, what can you do about that? Because that is good.
Yeah. And we'll talk about more on the Sunday. Obviously, Sunday we had a chat with Davy Lawrence after the game, and obviously you said obviously 8th seed coming against the top team in top form, so it was always going to be a difficult weekend for them. But I think they have, as we've seen them through the season, we saw them quite early on, and we've seen them at different points through their journey. I think they have grown into the division. Obviously, still got a lot to learn. A lot of their players hadn't played senior hockey before this season, so they've got something to build on this summer. See the guys they want to retain, the guys they want to bring up, and who knows what the Leeds team will be next season. But like you say, the Stars, when they're in that kind of mode, and things, it's not. I think we mentioned before you start recording, John. We're not going out to like run the score on these teams. It's just that's how we're playing at the minute. Everything's coming off, like you say, the power play is clicking, the passes and the chances are coming from our end to their end in a matter of seconds, and that's just the way the Stars are playing at the minute.
Yeah, and I think a big thing as well is I think Leeds got a bit scared to attack us at one point, because every time they went in our own zone, like you say, it was 2 passes out of the zone, and then 3 forwards are bearing down on your goalie. And I think they tried to go a bit conservative and not get themselves caught too much in our zone, but then they were just inviting pressure on, and they were just getting beat with tic-tac-toe players, and they did get a bit stuck in 2 minds and what to do. And as a lot of people, a lot of fans, a lot of coaches have said this year, we are so well drilled. Even when things aren't going our way, it will come good eventually. And that's what we've always said about the great Solway teams over the year. Even though when they've had a poor night, they are that well drilled, their chances will come off. And fortunately for us, we are playing very well, and we are very well drilled as well.
Yeah. Went through the scores earlier, Carol, with Callum Wilkinson, another power play goal, and he's having a rare old time on the special teams of late, and he's getting his reward for, we mentioned last season, but this season he's been on point, and he's getting his reward in front of the net.
He's been a revelation, hasn't he? We jokingly said to Rob that he needs to like stay away from the coaching bench because it clearly benefits Callum, him not being there. He has been an absolute revelation this season. I haven't got his stats in front of him, but I know for a fact they're a little bit better than last season, just by a small amount. Just a smidge. And he's, like you've just pointed out, he's having a whale of a time on the power play unit. He's always in the right place. Be interesting to see how many of those goals are power play goals actually. But he was, one fan shot away from getting a back-to-back hat tricks this weekend. What can you say? He's just. I'm not even sure improved's the right word because he's always been a really good player, Callum. But for whatever reason, he was proper snake bit in front of goal last year. Mm-hmm. Couldn't get a goal for love nor money. Nothing was going for him. But for this season, complete opposite. Everything he touches seems to go in the net, and he's he kind of sums up our season as a whole. Really, it's just chalk and cheese from where he was last year.
Yeah. And we'll say the goals shared around, but points coming from the back end as well. Joe Wall's getting a goal. Great to see him back in action, and the D men chipping in. Tommy Spraggan with his assists. Darren Stattersfield assisting on the first 3 goals because, of course, why not? So the way we ended the regular season with everybody contributing, that's continued, which is only good to see, Jono.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely sensational, and I don't think any of them expected to be having this sort of season. I think obviously a lot would say, yeah, we would win a lot of games, we would be challenging, but for the amount of points that each player is scoring, I think they're all going above their own personal targets. They all set their own targets, and I can imagine every single one of them has blown their points total that they think they would achieve this year. Mm-hmm. Like obviously we're talking about Callum there. I think he had 1 goal all last year. He had 17 league goals this year, and just completely chalk and cheese. And everyone's just in form. Everyone's just in form at the right time. And it's not one of those where we've hit the ground running in form. They've gradually got up to speed, and like where Ian hit the ground running, he's maintained, but the other guys just slowly went about their business, and they're peaking right now, and what a time to peak.
Yeah, no, 100%. The only other statistical thing I wanted to bring up, just because it doesn't happen very often, no penalty minutes at all for the Billingham Stars on Saturday. I know, Carol, you said it was proper playoff reference, anything kind of no harm, no foul, and just letting the guys play.
Yeah. Very much so. I mean, even the penalties that he called on the Leeds were so horrifically blatant that he couldn't not call them. So it wasn't a case of any sort of one way or the other with the ref. He just decided he was going to let as much go as he could possibly get away with. So I mean, I can remember one of the Leeds penalties was two men tripping Tommy Spraggan at the same time. So what's the ref going to do? I can't let that one go. It's embarrassing. So he basically refed it as you would expect a ref to referee a playoff game. Yeah. So yeah, unless you were going to physically maim someone or do something horrifically blatant, then he wasn't going to call it.
Yeah. And finally, the shots. I said we mentioned Luca in net. We'll talk about him again after the Sunday game. 10 goals on 67 shots. Mark Turnbull had the start for Billingham. 1 goal on 20, and Jack Wakefield got another 8 minutes in. 2 saves from his 2 shots. Again, we'll mention Jack in the third period for Sunday as well. Anything else on Saturday before we move over?
No, just the top hot chocolate, and it wasn't horrifically cold either. Like, I don't know whether that. It was just cold. It was. It wasn't as bad as it has been. But I don't know if that's anything to do with the hot chocolate, which was special.
Yeah. Full marks to the hot chocolate cellar in Elland Road. We'll have to wait until next season now for that, but I'm sure we can cope for the summer. But yeah, so that was Saturday night, first leg. 9 goals to the good coming back for the home leg. And on that home leg, first period, Jono, I think it was a bit loose, a bit I don't want to say they didn't care, but I think you could tell early on they weren't quite at their normal performance level, and it showed with Leeds taking a 3-2 lead into the first interval.
Yeah, it was a bit of a funny one to describe. Obviously, they knew they needed to lose by 10 goals, and that kind of wasn't never going to happen. But Leeds, sort of young side, they just want to play hockey. These kids, and they came at us with a bit of bite between the teeth, and we were, like I say, probably too relaxed, probably not switched on for the game, probably trying to think, let's just get through this game, no injuries, kind of rest up, maybe go through a few situations if we get on some power plays and things like that. But the Leeds kind of brought it a bit, and we had to step it up. And unfortunately, when we did step it up, it was literally men against boys.
Yeah. So that first period, Owen Dell with a couple of goals, Aaron Jordan on a power play with 3 goals for Leeds. Ian Brown and Sean Galloway had Billingham briefly ahead 2-1 before Leeds had it 3-2 end of first. Do you think there were words, not necessarily harsh words, Carol, but in the first break, just to get the guys kind of switch back on and kind of playing the way they should have played from minute 1, perhaps?
Yeah, I think probably a reminder this is playoff hockey now, and yes, the temptation was probably there to relax a little bit and have 20 minutes off, but it's playoffs. You can't do that. You've got to keep the performance level up, and I think that was probably what was said in the dressing room, which was, hang on a minute, lads, I realise that the gap is still 8 goals, but this isn't good enough. We need to, we're going to come across much better than Leeds, and we need to be keeping that intensity level. So it's pleasing that the guys responded in kind, because I know we're going to talk about the Bucks later, but they went into their second leg with a massive first leg lead as well, and they actually lost on Sunday. So I do think it's important that you keep this intensity level up so that you're ready for what comes next, rather than having to get yourself back there. So I think that's probably what was said in the dressing room. I would hope so anyway.
Yeah. And as Jono says, the Stars kind of turned it back on, and 6 goals in the middle period, 4 goals in the third period. And it was that kind of thing. It was a goal every couple of minutes or so, and the guys showed what could they do again. Some fantastic goals, as you mentioned, from Saturday, even just the crisp passing, tic-tac-toe, and it's in the net. And obviously, in terms of goals scored number-wise, Ian had himself an afternoon. Mikey had 6 assists. Goal of the evening, who would you like the particular one that got all the fans oohing and ahhing?
I actually thought, I know it was Ian's. Did Ian get one on the power play? The one where he slid in on one knee for quite a while and then buried it in from a pass from Sykesy. I like that one just for how long he slid on his knee before he made contact. I know everyone's going to go about the Mossy because it was a magic finish.
It was
but
awful.
I think we need to give Ian a bit of credit for that one, being down on one knee for as long as he was when he put it in.
I would argue with that is that you've let the 68 goal scorer basically skate unmanned all the way up the ice so he can tap it in on one knee. So yes, it looked great, but it's poor from the D letting him be unencumbered all the way. But yes, it looked very good from the one knee, and the patience from Sykes just to wait and then feather it across. It did look very good. But the oohs and the ahs were all for Mossy's goal in the third period. I haven't managed to sort the highlights out yet, but I'll be clipping that one and sending it off as far wide as possible.
I remember him doing it to Richie Griff when Griff played for the Lions a long time ago.
Yeah.
So only maybe I don't think it was our first, maybe second season, first or second season, and he skates across the crease. First season, we skated across the crease, and Griff tried to make a play on him, and he put it between his legs and put it over him. And you just saw the look on Griff's face. I think Griff played for us like the next season or the season after that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a great goal from us. He's always had those hands. They're fantastic.
Indeed. And like I say, everybody again, yes, Ian had the 6 goals, but there were, I say, the 6 other goals, and again, they're all spread around Shuggy's line. Callum Wilkinson scoring again, Lucas Dowdle scoring again, Connor scoring again. and basically everybody chipping in, both ends of the ice. To say the D men jumping into the play when they could, and again, just not running up the score. It's just that's how the chances fell, and we took those chances.
Yeah, you've got, like I say, you've got. This is a playoff mode now. It's not a case of embarrassing the other team. It's basically making sure that you are getting yourselves playing the right way. And when we play the right way, unfortunately for the other team, that usually means quite a few goals. So I don't think it was any sort of any case for running the score up. It was literally just, this is the way we want to play, and this is the result.
Again, so all of the full box score, NIHL stats will be a place to go for all of that. Again, from the Stars angle, Jack Wakefield got a full period in the third period. 8 shots from 9 goals, 8 saves from 9 shots. Whatever, yeah, you know what I meant. Yeah, so 8 out of 9 for Jack. And that'll only stand him in good stead as well. Obviously, we've talked about the goalie trio that we've had. Again, who knows for next season where Jack's ice time is going to be, but that he's been playing, particularly the back end of this season, that he's been able to play meaningful minutes and make the saves and not be kind of looking out of place can only stand in good stead for the future.
For sure, and he hasn't looked out of place, has he? I felt a bit sorry for him. That goal in the last minute was a bit of a killer for me. Spoiler, yeah. But you know, it's playoff hockey. You have to play until the buzzer, and unfortunately for Jack, Owen Dell was determined to get his hat trick. So fair play to the lad. But yeah, Jack's been there. I think everybody said it all season. He's been there every game, every training session, and now he's involved in playoff hockey. Fantastic, and it's great that we have this trio of netminders that we can rely on. And you know, it doesn't really seem to matter who we put in at the minute. They're all pulling the saves off, and they're all doing the job they were put there to do.
And while we're talking about one Wakefield, I mentioned for Tom and the other Bucks who were playing in Hull on Sunday lunchtime and drove the A1, A19 and managed to turn out. So Sam and Tom and Stewie Jackson all turned out and played their part in the game as well. So that was good to see. On the Leeds side, we said we'll talk about some of their players. Obviously, Owen Dell with the hat-trick, Jono. We've had him pegged since kind of the beginning of the season. Michael Deneko as well. And over the weekend, we talked a little bit about Edgar Zvengas, who's their possibly number one prospect, but I think his eyes are now more national division. I think he's done with our division, I think, for next season.
Yeah, I think Edgar's has still got a lot of growing up to do on the ice. He was very petulant on the ice on the Saturday. And I think he was on the end of a few big hits from Darren Statsfield, who at one point probably was told to calm it down and just leave it be. But yeah, he plays a style of hockey that will get under people's skin. He's very, very talented, but if he takes that game up to the higher level, he'll find it really, really difficult. On the other hand, Owen Dell, I'm probably the lad's biggest cheerleader, and I think I was on the bench during the handshakes telling Al to sign him there, and then we put a contract under his nose and sign him. The kid's the real deal, and I'd be shocked if he doesn't make it to the Elite League. He is so good. I mean, his first 2 goals couldn't have been any further in the top shelf. The lad can pick a corner, and he is so talented. And Daintith moving over as well from Sheffield. Not Daintith, Deneko. Deneko moving over from Sheffield. I think the 3 of them are pretty much on a line together. So talented, and the 3 of them have got a very, very bright future. So it'll be interesting to see how Leeds go, because when they do hit the rough patch, unfortunately these kids do kind of come a little bit more selfish and hug the puck a little bit too much instead of just doing the easy thing.
Mm-hmm. And that's where the senior hockey experience, which they're lacking at the minute, will come in next season. These guys will have a season under the belt, and if you haven't already pointed towards Big Red Machine Radio, which was uploaded yesterday, Monday night, we had a chat post game with Davey Lawrence, as I said, and talking about what his plans were. So he's going to evaluate things in the summer, see who they want to keep, see who they're going to bring up from the 18s from next year, and and go again. And we'll be interested to see what Leeds do for next season in our division. Last word. I know we've mentioned him a couple of times this season, but we had a good chat with Luca at the end. Carol, just great to see him back. I know we've said he had that time out with his time away. I don't want to say anything more than that. But yeah, having a good chat. He's obviously in good spirits. He had a very busy weekend, I think it's fair to say. But he was buzzing just to be playing again and playing playoff hockey and looking forward to a summer of rest, no doubt.
Do you know what? I love Luca. He's got such a good attitude. He's such a good kid. And you talk to him, and he loves his hockey. And he saw a lot of rubber this weekend, but he was still smiling, enjoying himself, grateful to be playing. He's got the attitude that you want in a team, especially netminders. You want that positive attitude. I think he did admit on Saturday he had glanced over at the bench a few times. Come on, lads, let me out. But you know what? Credit to him, he stuck with it. And he's just a smashing lad. He really is. He's just one of those guys that you talk to and you think there should be more of him in this in this sport, because he's just got exactly the right attitude.
Yeah, no, it was good to have a chat. And John, I know you've mentioned him on your pod a couple of times. It's great to see him back and playing and enjoying it again.
Yeah, fantastic. And I mean, to be fair, I know he had his breakaway, but he's still the same Luca. He's still playing with a smile on his face, still enjoying the game like it's his first ever game of hockey. It's the first time ever time to step out on the ice. And we've seen it over the years, the way netminders can behave. They aren't hinged properly. There is something in there about a netminder. And fair play to him. There was numerous opportunities this weekend. He could have hurled a water bottle or a stick at someone saying, "Get me out of this net." But dusted himself down, got himself back up, and got himself ready for the next onslaught, and all with a smile on his face. I did see him after the game on Sunday, and he did look like he needed a rest. He did look very, very worn out. And I think he's played a lot of minutes since he has come back from his break and kind of catching up on the hockey he's missed. But yeah, I think if anyone deserved a summer this year, it's going to be Luca.
Yeah, no, 100%. So yeah, that was the quarterfinal done and dusted. Final aggregate score of 22-5 for your Billingham Stars, and put them into the playoff semi-finals, which will be home and away this coming weekend. But who will they face? We'll have more on the other side of this break. We'll talk about the other quarterfinals in our division and have a quick look around the other divisions as well, as we build towards the playoff finals and the Steel City Showdown. More on that perhaps later on as well. But for now, we'll just take a quick break and we'll be back in a moment with your latest edition of Starcast. Welcome back to Starcast, and having dissected the quarterfinal over the Leeds Knights, time to look at the other quarterfinal ties in the NIHL Morley division. See who progresses to the semi-finals this coming weekend. So that is the top seeds, as we've talked about. Second seed Blackburn had 2 wins over the Nottingham Lions, 9-5 in Nottingham, 7-3 at Blackburn on Sunday for a 16-8 aggregate. Solihull and Whitley, a 5-0 at Hillheads for the Barons, and then an 8-4 at Hobbs Moat Road on the Sunday night for a 13-4. And then, as predicted, the tie of the round went all the way between the Deeside Dragons and the Hull Jets. Jets winning 7-4 at Hull on the Saturday, and then being fairly even halfway through the game on Sunday at Deeside, before the Jets kind of slowly lost their grip and Deeside came back a goal at a time, and finally levelled it late on through Brodie Jessen before winning it in OT through Ross Kennedy. So it's the Deeside Dragons who progress, and it's they who will be Billingham's opponents this coming weekend. Carol and Jono, so your playoff quarterfinals went pretty much as predicted. Carol, do you want to go first?
Pretty much as predicted. I think me and Jono have given ourselves a massive pat on the back for this one, because we said the 3 top seed ties would be pretty comfortable, and as it turned out, they were very comfortable. And I don't wish to crow, but we did say that Deeside Hull would probably go to overtime, and it did.
Yeah.
It was too difficult to call that one. I think Hull are going to be massively kicking themselves for letting a 3-goal final period lead go. That's going to be a tough one to take. But you've got to give Deeside all the credit in the world for coming back from that one. Scoring in the last minute to take it to overtime. I bet the atmosphere in that barn was belting. So, yeah, hats off to Deeside. And heartbreak for Hull, because that's a tough way to lose.
Yeah. So it was tied at the end of the second, 3-3 on the night. So Hull just still 3 goals ahead on aggregate. And then 43 minutes, Jacob Hayek. 47 minutes, James Parsons. So it's down to a 1-goal game. And then, like you say, Phil Pearson withdrawn from the D-side net, extra attacker on. Ross Kennedy sets up Brodie Jesson. 34 seconds remaining in regulation, and the Dragons tie it. And then in OT, a penalty on Rich Hagger of the Hull Jets. And that sends D-side on the power play. Jake Rakowski sets up Ross Kennedy for his 3rd goal of the playoffs. And it's a 7-3 win on the night, 11-10 on aggregate. John, know anything from you on the quarterfinals?
No, pretty much echo what Carol said. Pretty bang on from us two on the results. Unfortunately, I think the 3 were a bit too obvious. Billingham, Blackburn, and Solihull. Warriors did have a chance of creating an upset, but it just wasn't to be. And then the 2 teams, 4th and 5th, it went to overtime, couldn't be separated. But yeah, I think Hull would have been a tough journey home for Hull on the Sunday, but we know the firepower the Dragons have and possess, and we'll talk about it in a bit, but just wasn't meant to be for the Hull Jets. And yeah, bring on the Dragons next week for the Stars.
Yeah. And as we do, the honourable Billog mention, Phil Pearson getting the start on the second leg for the Dragons, and just 3 goals on 30 shots for former Billingham man. So everywhere you look, there's a Billog playing hockey, as appears to be the case. And there was a post, I think their podcast did a post-game interview as well, didn't they, Carol?
Yeah. So there's a bit of post-game media flying about for those who wish to go seek it out. Obviously, there's our post-game stuff. There is a post-game interview from Switch Radio, if you seek that out, for Solihull Barons. And yeah, D-Side's Puck and Dragon podcast put out a man of the match interview with Phil Pearson. So go seek and you will find.
Yeah, no, plenty of content out there, which is great to see for our division, sharing the love of the NIHL North. So that's the 4 quarterfinals in our division, and as we say, it means a semi-final against the D-side Dragons, which we'll talk about very, very shortly. Just a quick look at the brackets. Obviously, we know the ties set format, so all the brackets will follow us the same path. So that's our division there. So we'll see the final will be between Billingham or D-side against Solihull or Blackburn, and then we'll look at our friends in the south. So South 1. Obviously, the winners of this one would be the winners of the Morley playoff winners in the national playoff final on the Sunday in Sheffield. So the semi-finals there, Slough Jets against Invicta Dynamos, and the Chelmsford Chieftains against the Streatham Redhawks. And the only one there going slightly off plans was the Invicta seeing off Stoland, coming from a big deficit in the first leg to see it off in the second leg.
It's literally a carbon copy of the North. The South went pretty much the same way in that the first 3 seeds got through very comfortably, and then 4th v 5th went to overtime. The only difference here is that 5th seed went through, so Invicta a small upset in beating Solent, but yeah, it's funny how that's worked out. But yeah, pretty much exactly the same scenario.
And they're going to be two decent semis as well. Same for in our division with Slough Invicta. Invicta, obviously, we know they beat Streatham a couple of weeks ago at the end of the regular season. So that's going to be no pushover. And then Chelmsford, Streatham, again, no love lost there. 2 great semi-finals in the Britain division. Quick trip into Division 2s and the Laidler Division for North 2. Our very own Billingham Buccaneers, as Carol says, saw for the Kingston Sharks. 11-1, I think, with first leg lead. They took down to the Chip Spice Arena, was enough to see them through, even though they edged out on Sunday. They will play the Sutton Sting, the second seed. And then in the top seed, Telford easily saw off the Titans, and then Coventry saw off the Altrincham Aces. So it's Telford Coventry, a nice Midlands semi-final there, and Billingham against Sutton for the other semi-final berth. We'll obviously send our best to the Bucks. I think I haven't seen their 100% confirmed, but they'll be at home Saturday.
You would think that they are, because
Yeah.
when they're going to play.
And then obviously Sutton. Which way did they do it last? Was it Sutton in the semi last year or Sutton in the final last year?
Final last year.
Sutton in the final last year. So the path's kind of the same for the Bucks, just a different way around. But yeah, good luck to the Bucks this weekend against the Sutton Sting. And then finally in South Division 2, league champion Guildford Phoenix, they made it through safely against Chelmsford. Invicta went out to the Oxford Rising Stars. Possibly the surprise of the round, Haringey were edged out by friends of the pod, the Cardiff Canucks. Obviously, again, not that we've got foresight or anything, but we jokingly said to Trevor Hendricks in one of our early interviews,
we did.
We'll see him in Sheffield, won't we? And he said,
we
no.
did. He said he wasn't even thinking about Sheffield. I bet he is now.
So they came, again, an overtime game in Cardiff in the second leg, puts the Cardiff Canucks into a semi-final against the Peterborough Phantoms NIHL 2 team, who just played a one-leg tie and easily saw off the Junior Devils in that one. So again, those semi-finals in all 4 divisions this coming weekend. And the winners of that will move through to the Steel City Showdown. More on the Steel City Showdown shortly, he says, nodding towards Carol's bobble hat. But we'll have a quick talk about this weekend for your Billingham Stars. As we said, it's Deeside Dragons. Away on Saturday, Deeside Leisure Centre, 5:15 face-off down there, as it always is, forever and ever, amen. And then back to the Forum on the Sunday, 5:30 on Sunday, the 6th of April, for the second leg for the right to play in the Steel City Showdown. Carol, Deeside, we saw them not too long ago, and it was a comfortable enough win, but as you say, playoff hockey, they've had a grueling tie to get through. You'd imagine their tails will be right up for this one.
Yeah, and obviously playoff hockey is a different beast. You can look at the games between us this season, and they've been pretty comfortable wins for us on all 4 occasions. But the reality is that the slate's clean and the league positions count for naught in the playoffs. So if the D-side team that is potentially there turns up and decides to play, then I can't see us waltzing away with this one. However, I have enough faith and confidence in the Stars to say I expect us to win. I don't see how the team, how we're playing at the minute. I don't see how D-side have got any game plan that can possibly get past that. So, yes, D-side have immense offensive threat. And if, like say, if they decide to turn up and play, then there's enough there to cause us a lot of problems. However, D-side continue to be frail at the back, as they have been all season. And the one thing that the Stars do is score a lot of goals.
Yeah.
So I can't see past anything other than a Billingham win. I don't wish that to sound arrogant. I don't see a scenario other than, I don't know, sickness and diarrhea sweeping through the team. I just don't see how it could be anything other than a Billingham win. And if that does sound arrogant, then I apologise, but that's just the way I see it.
Well, we haven't lost a league game since December, and we've only lost 1 game in that, and that was the second leg of the cup final. So I don't think it's arrogance. I think it's just well placed assessment. John, the playoffs generally, defenses come to the fore. But as we've seen so far, D-side's games still featuring a lot of goals. So their key men, yes, we'll talk all about Witkowski and the forwards, but their key men are going to be, whether it's Phil Pearson, whether it's Matt Croyle, and their D are going to be the key men this weekend for the D-side Dragons.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, they want to get into a gunfight, but they want to get in a gunfight with the best scoring team in the division. So that's what they're going to go up against. And they're probably thinking, go back to Billingham, they'll need 3, 4, maybe 5 goal lead. Their defense isn't good enough to give them a 5 goal lead against the Stars team. Carroll doesn't want to sound arrogant, and it's not arrogant. We are better. We are the best team, and we are a very confident team, and we have every confidence in how we are playing right now. And we can only enjoy that and sit back and enjoy the ride that this team's putting us on, because every game they play to entertain, and we just really are enjoying anything. And what can D-side do other than play 3 goalies at once? I'm not quite sure. I really don't know. I'm trying to go off the top of my head, like who and what defensively have they got? Is it going to be Matt Croyle? Is it going to be Phil Pearson? Is it going to be the young kid that plays for the Ducks quite a lot? I'm not too sure, but they're going to have a night of all nights, because unfortunately he just doesn't have the defense in front of him. Do they just hope that their forward lines can keep the puck in the offensive zone and keep it away from their net? That might be the game plan they have, but whether they can do it for 120 minutes, I'm not so sure.
Yeah. I'm just looking at their lineup from the semi-final, from the quarter-final. Yes, it was Phil Pearson. Say Matt Croyle was the other goalie, and Jace Gledhill's the other one who you mentioned. We saw him a lot early in the season before the sign. Matt Croyle, again a young goalie, a lot of talent, but again senior experience is possibly what's lacking there. From our side, we know all about the obviously the top line is the one, but as we've said numerous times, every line's chipping in. So as John says, Carol, you cannot see where Hull can where D-side can put the blockers, because if you block that line, then that line will come through, and you block that line, and if you block those 2 lines, then Ian Brown will score 6 goals and do what he's done for the whole season.
Well, that's exactly the point, isn't it? It is all about the offence for this tie, and the fact that Billingham's offensive threat comes from multiple places. How you put a game plan together to smother all of those places is something that no coach has managed to figure out yet this season. On the flip side of that, yes, they've got an immense talent in Big Jake, and there is no doubt in the talent, because in some respects stats don't lie. However, and I keep saying this, I can only go on what I've personally seen, and what I've personally seen is someone who could do better. I think that's the only way I could possibly phrase it. Hasn't turned up in the games against us so far this season, and obviously that is podcast curse or whatever you want to call it, because he'll probably score 1 million this weekend or whatever, but I haven't seen that yet from him. And I don't know whether that's because when he plays against a team like Billingham, he doesn't have the supporting cast for him to be able to do what he undoubtedly can do. Mm-hmm. Or whether it is just that he's frustrated, or I don't know what it is, but he's yet to put up a performance for me against Billingham. Maybe this weekend's his time. You just never know. He might be the proverbial big game player and turn up at the weekend, in which case we've got a problem and we should plan for that. But I don't see where else any problems come from D-side. Whereas if you look at it from D-side's point of view, they've got multiple problems to watch, because we've got Ian Brown. Yes, he takes all the plaudits, but you've got Mikey, Sykesy, Mossy, who is scoring some gorgeous goals at the minute. Mm-hmm. Rowley, who just keeps flying under the radar and people forget about him, and then he turns up and scores 1 million. Conor McNulty, who has shown the hands all season, and I think John O waxes lyrical about him most weeks. And then you've got our third line, who flipping bagged hat tricks and what have you against Warriors the other week. So where do you go? Where do you stop? If I was Mike Clancy, I would have proper headaches this week trying to figure that one out.
Yeah, and I'm sure what you've said is right. That they will plan on Witkowski being at his best, but they say that the way the D's played this season as a unit with whoever's between the pipes, they will plan for that. And even if Witkowski has a game, I mean, the game we won the other week, 14-5, he scored a couple of really nice goals.
He did.
But we were putting 14 at the other end, so
while he was on the goal at the other end.
We shall see what transpires. Anything else from you, John, on the weekend ahead?
There's a bit of pressure on them this time, though. Like the league games is, if you lose, you lose. But there's something at stake available now. There's a chance to be at the dance, the big dance, the dance that everyone wants to be at, and they'll want to be at it. They'll probably think they've got the toughest job in the league to get there. But those players will want to be there. They'll want to go and sort of show how good they are. So then there's a pressure on them now to go and perform to get there. And they've never had that when they played us this season. They've not really had a pressure, or even the games of the week. The season was kind of over for both teams. There was nothing really to play for, not a lot left on the table. Nothing was going to change drastically on the table. They were always going to be playing whole. It was just going to be whether it was going to be home or away. So there were nothing games to a point. Now there's something riding on it, and it'll be interesting to see how they go into that, where they've got to turn up. They have to turn up, or they could just be another Leeds if they don't.
Well, we've seen a little bit of how they can respond, because they've just dragged it out of the fire in the quarterfinals. So they clearly do have it in them to respond to that pressure and put together, a performance that gets them through. So yeah, I don't think there's much doubt in that they're quite capable of turning it on. But do they have enough for 120 minutes against the Stars? I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, it all revealed this weekend. Saturday at the D-Side Leisure Centre, 5:15 face-off, and Sunday at Forum Ice Arena at 5:30. I know the supporters looked in to try and get a bus, John, but it's just at the short notice.
Just way too short notice to get the kind of numbers that we need.
Yeah, so get the car sharing on. I know there's been a few posts on social that I've seen people getting lifts and car sharing and giving petrol money and what have you. So I know the Stars fans will do whatever they can, come hell or high water, to get to North Wales on Saturday night at 5:15, and then hopefully a big crowd again. The last few home games have been fantastic in the stand, so a big crowd for us playoff semi-final, for the chance to progress, as John says, to the big dance in Sheffield next weekend. So we hope you can join us this weekend, be it home, be it away, or both. We'd love to have you there with us for the playoff semi-final. If nothing else on the semi-finals, as I say, it's Billingham D-Side and Blackburn Solihull in our division. We'll review everything next weekend in next week's show to see who is going to the Steel City Showdown.
Are we going to nail our colours to the mast for the other semi-final? Because I tell you what, I can't call that one. This is a bit like D-Side Hull last week.
Yeah.
You tell me who's playing at home on Saturday, and I'll give you a result.
Well, Joe Scott says Blackburn are playing at home on Saturday. And Dom Osmond says he would prefer to play at home on Saturday. So I'm going to go with Blackburn playing at home on Saturday.
So
Barons.
I mean, the last two league games, they split the last two league games, didn't they? So Barons won one and Blackburn won one. So, and for all we said, Barons had maybe stood a little bit down the stretch, but then they've came back into form, and again they've been the game against us aside, perhaps, they've been potting goals for fun as well. So, and we know Blackburn have been scoring loads, so it could be another one, not for the defenses and not for the goalie stats, but one for who scores most and who scores last. Well, we shall see. But yeah, interesting to see what happens this coming weekend. We'll talk all about it in next week's show, I am sure. just brings us to finalise with any other business. And I have a graphic, and I'm not going to forget this graphic. So, yeah. So, obviously, we're talking Steel City Showdown in a couple of weeks' time, playoffs, etc. But Billingham do have a game already in the schedule for Easter Sunday. It is the national championship game against the Slough Jets. And we'll put this up, but it will be coming out on club socials as well. Tickets for the event at Coventry Sky Dome on Easter Sunday. It's a 12 noon face-off. I know, 12 noon on Easter Sunday. I know, but it is what it is. Tickets are exclusively available through the Billingham Supporters Club. If you just want to go to our game, if you want to go to the whole weekend, buy your tickets through the usual channels, but seats are very limited. So for the NIHL 1 game, standing tickets are being sold directly through the club. So it will be hold Jono and the guys in the supporters club, either see them in person at the game, or messenger or email. An adult ticket is £26, and 16 and under, £13.50. And a senior citizen over 60 is £21. That's the day ticket that covers our championship game and the national division playoff final that follows it as well. But yeah, so look out for full confirmation on the Stars socials. If you do want to go to the whole weekend in Coventry, I say 2 semi-finals on the Saturday and our game on the final on a Sunday, then you can go through the EIHA events team and get your tickets that way. But I say just for our game on the Sunday only, we'll do that through the supporters club. So your gang will be even busier on Sunday, Jono.
Yeah, it's just a busy time of year, isn't it? And it's great. It's fantastic to see, especially when you're winning every week.
Yeah, and as we alluded before as well, it's a rivalry that hasn't been seen for a while. Billingham against Slough.
Long
so
time.
If you are of a mind to be in Coventry on Easter Sunday, then it's well worth a visit. Again, cheering on another championship game for the Billingham Stars. Just a couple of things from my side before we hand over to Jono to sell stuff. Stars presentation night reminder, Thursday, April 24th, at the Synthonia Club. A 2-course carvery, £25 a ticket, smart dress. I'm not wearing a dress. I'll be wearing a shirt and tie as usual, but we'll obviously have all of the player awards, the shirt sponsorships, and celebrating the successful season thus far of the Billingham Stars. If Alan's around on Sunday, if you see him, or if not, see Sarah, one of the girls at the table, and you can book your tickets that way. But yeah, well worth signing up for that one. We mentioned it earlier. Congratulations to Cardiff Canucks, friends of the show, on reaching their playoff semi-final. The Bucks as well in action on Saturday against the Sutton Sting in their semi-final. And as we head towards Steel City Showdown, Carol is wearing one of the Steel City Showdown bubbles. There's a range of merchandise available. There's logoed pucks. There's so she's wearing one of the designs of bobble hat. We'll be putting a link. I'll either try and get it in the show notes or we'll put it on as a separate post. But again, through the AIH events team, with the Steel City Showdown logo, all smart stuff. You can pre-order your programs as well. All through this events team online shop. The bobble hats look really smart. Obviously, those eagle-eyed amongst you will have noticed Carol's been wearing different ones over the last 2 or 3 weeks.
They have as well, and they're exceptionally warm. I would recommend them if you are in one of the super cold rinks. However, if you're going to buy one, I wouldn't wear it in Sheffield because Sheffield isn't that cold. My head's sweating.
Yes, the lined ones as well. They're really smart. They've had some
proper fleecy
ones. The fleece lining is really smart. It's very smart. The colours, the designs. So we'll get the links either in the show notes or put on our social media as well. So thanks to the events team and the NIHL management for giving us the sneak preview of their gear. And once again, Carol, this is time for you and I to put our feet up as our supporters club chairman works through his list. Jono, the floor is yours.
Yes, I'm under strict orders this week. They've all had a word with me. So yes, just want to say a big thank you for everyone who bought their back-to-back T-shirts. You should all have them now. I think there's 1 or 2 still to collect. So come and see us on Sunday and get them collected. But yeah, we will have more mini jerseys, Champions 25. The order's gone in. Fingers crossed they do arrive, but the order has gone in. But that's not the only thing as well. We have 2 tickets available for Sunday's game. So get in touch with the Supporters Club Facebook page. It's pound to go. Put your name into a randomizer, and you have a chance of winning a couple of tickets for Sunday. We also have our Player of the Month. That email should have went out, and that will close on Friday, and that will be presented also on Sunday. And obviously, your Player of the Season votes also. You will have seen QR codes about. We have got very technical here at Billingham Stars Supporters Club. Also, good old-fashioned pen and paper is also available at our Supporters Club table. So yeah, just a big thank you for everyone who supported us again so far. Just another weekend to go, a few more bits and bobs. But yeah, come say hi, buy what you need, and let's have a great end to the season.
Yeah, sounds good. I got myself the 2025 version of the mini shirt, so that'll be going in the car this week. So yeah, so nobody will be able to see out the back window. And Ian's mum put some on like that, didn't she? She had a mini shirt in the window, and she got pulled over by the police. Yeah, yeah. Ontario police obviously a bit more noticeable than ours, but anyway.
You mean they don't know who the Billingham Stars are?
Yeah, well, maybe that's what attracted them to it. I don't know. But yeah, so there's great stuff from the Supporters Club. Been doing some fantastic work again with their merchandise. I know the club merchandise has been selling very well as well, and a lot of lines are running low on stock. So this Sunday will be a very last chance to get something before Steel City Showdown and before Coventry. If you want to get some Stars colours to display and show your fandom loud and proud. That's just about it for this edition of the Starcast. As I say,
you've forgotten something.
Have I?
Yep.
You're going to have to remind me.
Parmo review.
Oh, yes. Thank you. I knew you had to tell us.
Really important stuff, this, Craig.
I didn't write it down on my notes. That's why it's gone out my brain. I've had a birthday since the last episode. I'm older than I used to be. And yeah, for those who watched a few weeks ago, we had Anthony Russell on. And then in the last D-side game, the last away game in the league season, he came up to D-side and had his first Billingham Stars experience. He was gifted some parmo to take away and some T-side lager to go with it as well, Jono, I believe.
Yes, 3 brothers.
But he put on social this week, he's finally getting around to having his parmo, and he gave us his review. So again, we'll put a link in the show notes. Your thoughts on his thoughts?
Controversial.
Well, yeah, controversial because being a parmo virgin as he is, he had it with ketchup, which is very controversial. But we have educated him and said, look, the only things that are acceptable really is garlic sauce or creamed cabbage or salad, and that's it. However, on this occasion, we'll let him off because we did gift him some Jeff the Chefs, and they're basically a bit of a ready meal version of parmos and a bit bland. So
we will get into the Merlin waking of the full experience.
Yeah. Well, he was impressed with the Merlin and the ship at Red Marshall as well. The
ship at Red Marshall's menu is astounding.
The menu was something that from people his eyes were lighting up when he was having a look through the menu of that. But he's had his parmo now, so he's officially a T-sider, and can't support any other team in our division now. So
that's it.
We've got him signed and sealed for next season. So we'll get him to T-side next year, I am sure. But yeah, we'll put that in the show notes as well. And thanks to Anthony for his ongoing support of your league champion, cup champion, playoff semi-final Billingham Stars. Can I finish the show now, please?
Oh, we should just say hi to Corrie and hope she's watching this before she actually travels. Safe travels, Corrie. We'll see you soon.
Couple of days.
Yeah, she's been counting down I still don't know how she's going to take all the stuff back with her, but that's between her
It's
and
why
the customs.
Ian has a hockey bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's between her, the customs, and the airline, I think, to get it back after the weekend. But she's coming for the semi-final and for Steel City, yes, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. And we have ensured that she's purchased every piece of available merchandise.
Everything.
Yeah. She's going back with all the merch.
Yes, one of everything. Safe flight to Ian's mum. We'll hopefully see her at the forum on Sunday. But once again, final reminder, Saturday at the Deeside Leisure Centre with a 5:15 face-off against the Deeside Dragons, and then the second leg of your playoff semi-final at the Forum Ice Arena, Sunday at 5:30. Get there in good time. I'm sure it's going to be another full crowd for your Billingham Stars. But thanks again to Carol and to Jono for their insight and sparkling wit and repartee, and keeping me on the straight and narrow. It's been a good chat as always, and we'll do it again next week after the semi-final results are known, and we'll know who's heading to the Steel City Showdown. But for now, from everybody here at the Starcast, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, wherever you consume your podcast with us here at the Billingham Stars. We'll see you soon.
Thank you for being part of this episode of Starcast, the official podcast of your Billingham Stars. Remember to like and share this episode, send a review when you can, and follow us on social media for the very latest news and to find out when the next Starcast will drop.